Bitcoin's alive, what you gon' do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution. Ay, Bitcoin is the one, no substitution. Ay, with Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal ecosystems. What is up, guys? We have a great show for you guys today. We're live for another Ordinal hour. We're going live Monday to Friday. If you're just catching us here, you missed a crazy week. We were live every single day. Absolutely amazing. So next week, we're going to do the same exact thing, same time, 11 a.m. Check us out, guys. We are dishing some of the best news, the best everything. This is the best show in Ordinals. And if it's not, we're going to make it so, because we're the hardest workers in this space. And today we have one of the hardest workers in the space joining us. We have Eric, Mr. BRC 20 coins. He just got a CEO role. We're not really going to get into that because a lot of stuff is hush hush, but he's going to be helping us out because I do have to get out here a little early today. But Yagobi and Eric will be finishing the show off. So without further ado, let me bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? It's Friday. TGIF.
Yay. Yeah, man.
Friday. It's a Friday up in here.
Yeah, man. We got a special guest today. We got the man, the myth, the legend. We got Eric in the building. Let's bring him right on.
Let's do it.
Eric, dude, welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. Your 19th time on the show. Welcome back, buddy. You are on mute.
What's up? Yeah, I put it on mute so that. How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. Yeah, I had a lost track account. You guys know I love coming on the show and talking crypto ordinals and the ecosystem itself. So always happy to be here. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Awesome,
for sure,
man.
dude. Love having you on. So it's gonna be a fun one.
Hell yeah. Let's jump right into topics we didn't want to get into first.
Well, we always got to touch on the king real quick, right? And I think
Absolutely.
having Eric on, you know, he's done a lot of trading in his past. I think it'll be good to hear his perspective as well. But we'll go ahead and start with looking at the hourly chart like we like to do. And we can see here Bitcoin has taken a little bit of a nosedive. There was a little bit of a blip up here, very short-lived. You're looking at like 4 candlesticks on the MACD. Half of them were strong buy pressure, half of them was weak. So it's really been just kind of, you know, living in that sell pressure, right? You see that like strong sell pressure here halfway through. It's starting to lighten up and then barely any buy pressure and then back to strong sell pressure. So it looks like this could be, you know, a continuation. We see 2 legs down starting from Wednesday, right? So about 2 days ago. But yeah, we're at 62,834. Is this where you expected us to be sitting on a Friday morning?
No, I thought we were going to be way higher. I was expecting to be 69.70. I guess I wasn't bearish enough. But I still think people aren't bullish enough. I see this. You know, I think this is a nice little setback. I think it's the March, you know, right before April. People are taking a little breather. But I think that within the next 8 to 10 days, man, I think we're going to be back up to all-time highs and passing it by the halving. I'm curious what Eric thinks on the same subject.
Yeah. Eric, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
So yeah, sorry if there's background noise. There's a truck out
It's all good
here. So for me, I mean, healthy corrections are great, right? Do you want me to wait a minute until this guy got
Yeah, let me. I'll give my little take here.
Yeah, go ahead. It's the fucking trash guy.
Hey, trash guy, do you want to change your job? You need to watch Ordinal Revolutions live every day. No, I'm just kidding. But no, we love trash guys because without trash guys, we'd have a bunch of trash in our houses. Anyways, my perspective here on this is, you know, I've seen some of the posts like from Block, which, you know, he typically is like bullish about Bitcoin's price, right? And he's actually kind of like, you know, he sees this being kind of toppy in terms of Bitcoin itself. He sees like a consolidation the next 6 months, and 6 months to me is long enough to where people get bored. They have ADD. Degens have ADD in the space. So, you know, but if we range from like 55 to 65 in the past 6 months, it's still not that detrimental to Bitcoin. In fact, it actually will build into the super cycle thesis even more. And you know, we could see Bitcoin going strong in 2025 as well. So back to Eric on his perspective.
Yeah. So for me, every bull cycle's had corrections, right? We hit 74, 73.9, some change. We've dropped, almost 30% drawback if it hits, we hit close to 60, right? So what was that, 14K? So that was a 20%, 20%, 20%
Right.
drop, right? So I still think we may retest the major resistance that we broke out of, which was like that 52.9, 53K range, to test it as support. And obviously we want to bounce there, right? Or we go lower, which we don't want. So I think we could possibly test that, and then if it bounces there and ranges, that's probably what we want. If you want consolidation, it's healthy. Bitcoin did have a big run up, ETF news, all of that, right? There's a lot of factors which I can go into. So on that note, if it does chop consolidate, then that could potentially be a mini alt season. Before Bitcoin runs again, if we do repeat history, and I love when history doesn't repeat and patterns change and things change and new things happen, right? So which I think happens this cycle. But for now, I think that's possibly where we could go, 52, 55. If we lose that 59 range, but it's a healthy dip before we rip, in my opinion. I mean, we had an all-time high before the halving, which we've never had before. With a run up like that coming from 16K, or even if you count low 20s in the beginning of the year, that's a big run up for Bitcoin. So does it bleed to alts? I mean, Ordinals exploded with that. So and that's where I'll lead into that, right? We've got a cycle where we've never had on-chain activity for Bitcoin. You got ETF activity, which validates big money, in my opinion. A lot of rich big money on Wall Street might have still been skeptical of Bitcoin, and an ETF could have validated that, where it doesn't matter if Bitcoin's 20, 40, 60K, when you're moving millions and millions of dollars, if they know the price is going to go up and they're going to make a profit, the entry position doesn't really matter to a trader in that regard. So you got that outlook, right? Satoshi putting a white paper, hey, trading on these exchanges isn't what going to bring value to Bitcoin. It's on-chain activity and users using it. And what do we have? New influx of users every day. Ordinals collections and coins dropping every day. New protocols every single day. So to me, that plays a big factor in a potential price rise of Bitcoin. And maybe we'll see that hit. How long does it take? I don't know, but to me, it's just that spring coiling now that this is happening on Bitcoin for over a year, right? So a little different of a cycle and pattern to me. We'll see if it truly plays out and what happens. But again, a chop isn't bad. It just means we consolidate for a while and it's ready for a next leg up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on almost everything you said there. I don't think we get down to like the low 50s, but it's not unreasonable for us to get there. One question, I'm a big person on terminology, right? And I think that like when people start throwing the term bear market out, to me, I think that's just ludicrous. I think it's really kind of, you're delusional if you actually think that we entered into a bear market. Bitcoin got to 74K and entered into a bull market. Yeah, Bitcoin got to 74K and then it retraced and we're out of the bull market and we're officially entering a bear market. I think that's just crazy talk. But like you hear a couple people use that terminology. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that like there could be a case to where we actually do go into a bear market officially?
I can't. I mean, I personally don't see it. I mean, we were in a bear market for how long? We're ready to approach a halving. If history does repeat itself, post halving, 12 to 18 months, we all know what happens when those minor rewards are cut in half. So it's never been a bear market post halving. So I can't see that, especially with ordinals now and BRC20s, atomicals, runes coming, everything else on chain, right? I mean, there's so much more stamps, things I haven't mentioned, right? And it's bringing so many people into the ecosystem. So I just can't see it being a bear market. But time will tell. Time reveals it all, right? So, but personally, I think it's just one of those 20 to 30% drawbacks that you get in a bull market. I mean, it had a big run up. we'll have a price correction of people taking profits, and we'll see what happens when that's done.
Yeah. No.
I'm gonna jump in real
100%.
quick.
Yeah, I was
There's
gonna let
no
you.
chance in hell we go through a bear market right now. Everything's bullish. You got the Fed has 5 bullets in their gun. It's an election year where the sitting president is the underdog, right? It's a super cycle. Everyone knows it. These are nice little pullbacks because the rich don't buy tops. They buy pullbacks, and they're buying right now, and you're going to see it today and tomorrow. We're going back to 73. We're going to 750K. Get bullish because we all should be.
I love it.
I almost agree. I agree with it in some sense within an election year, right? You got taxes hitting, you got an election year. That political party may try to have all markets run up to make themselves look good. Hey, we push this the entire time of our election, right? It's going to use it as a propaganda narrative to we helped the market flourish, and it was green the entire year, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I hate talking politics, and that's probably where I'll end it, but I think that could potentially play a narrative in the situation with it. I mean, Powell basically said, kind of invest, right? It was one of those things if you read between the lines. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And Shizzy, I was actually going to let you,
man.
give your perspective. No, but you did, and I think it was great because that's kind of where I am, minus the 750K in the short term, but long term, of course, I'm on board with you on that. So we'll end the BTC kind of discussion there. So guys, hang tight. Listen, this is not financial advice, but like for me personally, I give my own advice. Don't freak out in the volatility right now. Bitcoin's gonna be fine. Go ahead.
To touch on that, my bad, Yagobi.
No, you're good.
For people probably thinking Shizzy's smoking some good dope on the 750K, like that number is coming from if you pull the total market cap of gold, and not even that, if you pull gold's market cap and you make Bitcoin gold's market cap, that's about where the price of Bitcoin would be. So it's not just a number he may be pulling out of someone else's charts. Like if you pull the overall total market cap of gold, that's about the price of Bitcoin. I just wanted to chime in on that real quick.
Yeah, and the Bitcoin ETF is fast tracking big time when you compare it to like the gold ETF when it launched, and everybody thought the gold ETF was nuts the way it boomed up. But yeah, good point there, Eric.
And the supply shock, Shizzy, that we forgot to bring up, right? I mean, like I brought up earlier, if people remember that Volkswagen Porsche buyout, or even GME, the Porsche Volkswagen was they bought all the supply, so the stock from like 4 to 1800 in a matter of, in a day, right, or a short period of time, and obviously it was halted like GME was, and you can't halt Bitcoin. So when that supply shock keeps getting less and less on exchanges, you can't just split it like you do with shares of something like they did with Tesla. So, hey, people can't afford a $2,000 share. Let's split it 20 to 1 or 12 to 1. And so it's cheaper. So more people can own a share. You can't do that with Bitcoin. So time's going to give us the answer here.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I think the sleeper narrative, though, and you touched on it, was the on-chain activity. A lot of people aren't thinking about that, and I think that's going to be such a huge player in this cycle that we're heading into. So, but yeah, all right, cool, awesome. Now's part of the time where Shizzy loves to do his roll call. Roll call, he likes to call out the people that show up early, and we appreciate y'all. So go ahead and start your roll call there.
We have a new number one. There's a new champion in the building. We got Mr. Sheedy, number 1.
Let's go!
Congratulations, Mr. Sheedy. And we have our boy Yazir every single day this week. And then we got our number 2 subscriber ever, which was Danny Boy. Missed it by 30 seconds, but he'll always be number 1 to me. And then
in his heart.
And we have Why Walk Alone. At least I'm here. Yeah, he was number 1 2 days in a row, but then the last 3, we'll get there next week. He'll be champion again next week. Then we have John the Collector in the building. We have Rick G. We have E-Buck. He says Shizzy Jesse says hi. And then we have that's an inside joke, but sorry about that. And then we have TKO 401. We have Chief AXL, our Axel. We have Cheedy in the building. KDN, Stick BR, PDX, Green Man, UD Sham. We got lots of comments today, guys. Everyone's here today. We got Carlos CLS. Then we have our man AOD Art. He is one of the SEAL Team 5. Really appreciate this guy, man. He's amazing. Then we got Sarah. Sarah, welcome. I haven't seen you here your first time here, LFG.
She's
And
a
then
member.
we have 3 goats in the house. Very true. Thank you, Sarah. And then who else? Crypto Hot News. I think I said this already. Dan C. And we do have someone special here though.
Uh-oh.
Where'd they go? We got the man, the myth, the legend, Sam
Let's
Sage.
go.
He's the guy who created our
Nympho
soul.
Pizza.
Hi. Shout out Sam
Water
Sage in
world.
the building. But that
Shout out
is
Sam Sage.
the roll call. I forgot Mike's World. Welcome, buddy. Just woke up.
Yeah.
You're not late, buddy. You're just on time.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Love
sir.
Joe
And guys,
Sammy.
please do not forget to put your questions in the chat. We will get to them. Me and Eric will get to them at the end of the show. And we will try to answer each and every one of your questions. And please hit the subscribe and smash the likes for the video that shows support for us. And yeah, so let's jump right into some of these topics. This one's kind of a little tough to maybe talk about a little bit, but what is going on with the mineral protocol on Merlin, right? So just to give some context here, this it was a project that we've been tracking since the beginning of its initial deployment on BRC 420. They are a mining company, and everybody was waiting for this to deploy on Merlin, and it did. And there was some disgruntled Chinese community members, and we did some research on there, and it was mainly they were upset about like the return for staking the blue minerals here. They expected more for the the return percentages and stuff like that, but Shizzy was asked to kind of test the back end, just normal testing and stuff, and so he has some comms with them. Not like he's not a part of the team at all. He's not working with them in that regard. No payment or anything like that. But I wanted to see if he could maybe give some insight in some of the communications that he's gotten about it, if you don't mind.
So just for context, a few weeks ago they put out this thing that was like, hey, if anyone wants to test the site, please fill out this application. I filled it out. Yagobi filled it out. A bunch of other people filled it out. I was one of the lucky few who actually got the testing. And so I was testing the site before the thing. Everything looked good. It's kind of just like how it is today. It's not really no changes since I started testing, and everything looked good. And then I was in communication with the team. I was, hey, you guys are doing a great job. The site looks good. Blah blah blah. And then a few days ago, they came out and they said they're gonna up the supply of mineral. Basically everything you should not do, right? Inflate it. They're gonna they just crapped on the community. Everyone who was basically really happy with how everything's were going and everything really just got crapped on. And a lot of them were the Chinese guys, right? And the Chinese guys are very loyal until you screw them over. And in this situation, they felt like they were screwed over, and they are a huge community. China runs Merlin. It's Merlin's chain. I've been in chats where people are saying that like Merlin is the first Chinese chain. It is their it's their happy place is what some of them are saying. And I'm translating this through ChatGPT, and they think Merlin is going to be their Ethereum. And when they get upset something that is on Merlin, they destroyed it. They want it to go away. They want it to be gone because they want Merlin to be that holy sanctuary, right? And Mineral is doing that, and they're trying to destroy it. And so I don't know. They reached out to me. They said, "What would you do to fix it?" I brought up maybe do a buy and burn, and I told them, "Hey, maybe reach out to the community and bring a community member on as an executive or something. Like reach out to the community, get one of the biggest community leaders. Hey guys, why don't you come on and advise me?" I'm not going to volunteer for that. I'm not going to do that at all. That should be dealt with as a Chinese community, not on the West. So that's something that they're potentially going to be doing as well. I don't know. I'm just in DMs. I'm just trying to help the situation. I have 50 minerals. They're all locked up for 180 days. Obviously, I don't want it to go to 0, but if it did, that's the game we play, and I won't be upset. It is what it is.
Yeah. And so there was a couple of questions in my DMs too about like, if you guys could talk about the price action and stuff, and you can obviously see that like the disgruntled Chinese community has taken a hit into the price, right? Like at one point, mineral and everything in BRC 420 took a step back, but like at the highest peak, it was 2,500, and we're sitting right at 600 right now. It got down to 300 actually recently, but now it's back to 600. And it seems like from them to kind of reach out to you and say, hey, look, we at least want your perspective on this. Seems like they're trying. Is that what the sense that you're getting from them? They're trying to make efforts to make it right.
Yeah. Well, we've had them on the show. I told them that I'm a big DeFi guy, so they knew that I love DeFi, and they asked me as a DeFi person. That was the comment, was as a DeFi person, what would you do in this situation? And I said, buy and burn. Everyone's pissed off about you guys bringing the supply up. Well, bring it down. Do the opposite. Everything you do, just do the opposite. Yeah, everything that you said you're gonna do, just do the opposite. That was just what I told him to do. And obviously, like, you know what I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and kind of like, I'm not getting paid or anything, so I'm not gonna like give them, amazing ideas. We don't have a lot of time. We're working on, a bunch of other stuff. So I just try to give them like my quickest comments. And I got a family, and at the time I was playing with my daughter, so I wasn't really able to engage as much as I wanted to. So it is what it is. I hope the best for the holders in the community, and I know they're talking to Jeff, and I think Jeff, has the means and the people behind him to kind of make sure that if they are going to screw the communities, maybe do an airdrop for community holders or something like that. I feel like Jeff he would not let something like this happen without stepping in and doing an amazing job.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something to kind of just at least like alleviate the situation. All right, so from I want to ask Eric's perspective. He's been, obviously he's a great project manager. He's a great kind of leader of projects in previous projects he's been in. So Eric, like, I'm sure you've run into little things here and there to where like disgruntled community about certain situations. What's the best approach to kind of rectify something like this?
Shizzy brought it up, man. You're obviously building for the community, right? You're building for the people. So you've got to take that into consideration and listen to the people that are supporting you, because they're your voice, right? They're the ones that are speaking out there every day while you're trying to work. So, communication and feedback and input with the community is key. You guys see it. I'm always deep with the community, right? And I'm involved in that, and I'm in the trenches, and I still am. And that's the biggest thing, is just being with those people that have supported you along the way and taking that as constructive criticism and feedback to better, to better your product or your platform or whatever you may be doing.
Yago, you're on mute, buddy. Oh, sorry. I was saying, yeah, I think that's really, really great advice there. Just listening to your community, especially in this industry, right? And I heard a little bit of extra feedback too, saying that like initially they were kind of like, tough luck. This is kind of how it's going to go. And, you guys just need to be grateful that like we're doing this project type of sit. Now, the interpretation could be completely wrong. This is just what I heard. And then now they realized, oh, that wasn't the best approach. Right. So I think making that mistake initially probably pissed off the community even more. But here's the thing with me. I think PR, being a marketing major, I did take PR in school, and like you just know from just owning previous businesses, which I have, is like when you make a mistake, and this goes for life in general, life advice, not financial, is really when you make a mistake or you drop the ball, the first thing to do is own it. You got to own it, because when you don't, you lose trust immediately, right? So I really hope that that's what they're doing. They're owning the mistake of misjudging the community and what the community expectations were and what they want. And then at that point, you start to fix it, right? Because then you start to earn the community's trust back there. But yeah, all of us kind of are in this like mineral project, so we want it to succeed, of course, just for clarity. But at the same time, Merlin is such a strong chain, and there's so many other things that, people dabble in that, like, I think that if you miss, you're bound to miss, swing and miss on one, right. Or a couple. And this might be one, but we hope it's not.
100%.
So, yeah. And I'll end it there. Go ahead.
Well, On that note, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I gotta go. I have an appointment to get to, and I appreciate Eric taking my spot today. And Yagobi, you're gonna kill it like always. And I'll see you guys Monday.
Yep, sounds good, brother.
See you
We'll
guys.
see you soon. All
Take it easy,
right,
brother.
all right. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move to the next topic here, Eric. This is one that I think you can speak on because your PFP. I saw that you changed it back, and my question is: are the puppets the cabal, man? And the question really is, you see like how much influence and power they have. Like when even like a derivative after derivative, people are like constantly buying. You see hundreds of buys in progress. Like how do you view the puppets like overall community?
That's why I joined it, man. I wasn't able to free mint the puppet, right? And it's funny you say my PFP. Like I love the OMB that has a movement and meaning behind it. Support the projects that I'm in, right? So, um, the can you hear me?
Yep. Sorry, I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay, I don't know if we lost connection. So, dude, the vibes are great. Everybody's having fun, right? And that's what it's all about. So, we're all having fun with what we're doing. Um, Denver was great. Met so many puppets, in real life, and it's just a cabal. I don't know, a movement maybe, but it's different, right? It's different type of art that you've seen. The founders is an awesome guy. I had the pleasure to meet him as well. So it's just like anything, man. You try to jump with movements in great communities, and right now it's a great community forming with everything around it. So honored to be a part of it and speak with all the puppeteers, I guess you could say.
Yeah. No, you definitely can see it. You can see the energy from the community. Um, you know, I faded it in the beginning. I just felt like it was a derivative, which it seems like it was off of opium. But one thing that I was starting to worry about is all these derivatives off of puppets, right? Like you see like Lil Pups, you see the puppet ladies, you see the OM or is it PMBs, all these things. And I feel like if you have so many derivatives, eventually you run out of gas or steam. But another thing is these derivatives in the beginning, at least, they're good flipping opportunities, every single one of them, right? So it's like, people are buying like hundreds of buys you see it pending, but eventually what happens is those derivatives lose steam. How do you view that though? I mean, do you think that that's exactly how you're supposed to play those? Is like you plan for short-term plays and then you're done and the puppets, you make sure you're just in the puppets? How do you view that?
I mean, it's tough, right, with the derivatives like PMB, like the art's dope, right? I was able to mint that and get in some of those, and I hold them, right? Little Pups, the art's awesome, right? Cake's a great artist, so I have a few of those. I just appreciate the art. I mean, being a puppet, a main puppet person, right? The puppets, I love what Queen Arf did, right? To bring women into space. That was awesome, right? So I mean, it's attracting users. People are having fun. Derivatives do get over exhausting, right?
Saturated.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, like look at the punks, and all that. And some people are tired of seeing the so many punk derivatives. So I understand that narrative as well. Obviously this art's a little different. So as far as flipping opportunities, I mean, I think it's been the same as it always has been in the last year since Ordinals and BRC20s were created, right? If you have the opportunity to mint versus buying secondary, then you're always going to have a leg up, no matter what it is. But there's opportunities on secondary. So sure, I buy and trade. Everyone knows before. I was a trader. I did TA and still do and trade charts. So do I do that with ordinals? Yeah, I won't lie on that. I do always get extras to have in a collection to be able to sell if they run up, so I can put that money right back into the ecosystem, into other projects, right? Which a lot of people do. So it's good and healthy for that ecosystem to have volume and trading on collections versus collections sitting there doing absolutely nothing. So Do they die out? I don't know. Do they stabilize? Maybe that's a better initiative. It depends if the project keeps going, right? So I think that it's all factors in everything, man. And again, don't spend your money if you're not willing to lose it at the end of the day too, right? If it's another derivative and you see it pumping, and you have misdoubts about it, don't jump in on it. If you like the art, get on it, right? If you're just trying to make a buck, well, you can't get mad if you jump in at the wrong time and it happens to take a dip. So
yeah, definitely. You said you met the founder in East Denver. What do you think is like the main driving energy behind the puppets? Like, what is that like that makes them so successful? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm shocked that like they passed the frogs. That right now they're kind of sitting at that number. I would say number 3 or 4. You got Node Monkeys, OMB, Quantum Cats, and then I would say Puppets is right after them. And to me, that I was surprised to see that. But what is that driving force that's keeping that price floor up? And is it a bunch of ETH people that were like all the good ETH or people that made a lot of money from ETH coming over for that, or what is it?
He's down to earth, man. He's like any one of us that's been in the trenches, right? Speaks his mind, here for the Central Asian, world peace and for the people. So that's what I saw coming into the movement of it when I was able to buy into my puppets, right? So, that culture, that vibe, just everyone having a good time, having fun, enjoying the art, and enjoying life, right? If they come over from Ethereum, that's great. Of course there is, right? You've got Thread Guy, who I had the pleasure to meet up in Denver, right? Great guy, and others, and it's exciting to see them because they're going to come into ordinals. Like I don't. When I hear people get mad that these devs are from Solana or they're from Polygon or from ETH coming over to Bitcoin, well, where are they going to come from? Where Bitcoin finally has the opportunity for people to work on it with everything that Casey and Domo unearthed that was previously not unearthed, right? To give these builders this opportunity. So if you don't give them a chance, you'll never know what can be done. So I always welcome builders. So many people came into this space and didn't do shit with Bitcoin because you couldn't do shit with Bitcoin. So I don't ever frown on anybody coming over from another chain trying to build. Now, obviously, you want to pay attention. We know, some other chains have different tendencies than others, right? And Bitcoin's the mother chain. So, pick and choose wisely on collections you deal with. But a developer is a developer. It doesn't matter what chain he or she works on, and if they can bring value to it, I love to see it. So
Yeah,
I mean, if you want the ecosystem to succeed, right, you want liquidity from other chains coming into Bitcoin, right? You'd want, why would anyone be mad if people from Ethereum or other chains were buying ordinals? Isn't that what we want? Or do we all want, do the same X amount of people that started ordinals want to still play PvP with each other? Like,
yeah.
let's open that up, for the world and people to come into this space and see the true value of what these communities and collections can bring, especially on Bitcoin.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a great point. The whole idea is to onboard people from other chains onto ordinals and realize that, hey, you're on the mother chain, the time chain. Now you're doing all those things that you were doing before, and now you can do that on the most secure and largest blockchain in the world. So yeah, I agree with you, man. I'm bullish on puppets because in a couple of those derivatives that you mentioned, those were community members and artists that actually took their own initiative to create those derivatives. So it wasn't like it was, the original puppets founder that's like trying to oversaturate like these puppet derivatives. So yeah, I'm definitely bullish on that. All right. Let's move on to the next topic here. So this is something as well that you kind of have some experience in, but what's going on with atomicals, right? So atomicals, came out last year. It was, I would say, the first UTXO model since ordinals came out that like really came onto the scene, but it was not necessarily thrown out in mainstream at that point, right? And then, Shizzy and I dabbled in atomicals ARC, and I still hold a lot of that stuff, and I'm still bullish on it. Actually, Shizzy, not so much. I just feel like a lot of these meta protocols are going to the ones that have any substance to them, and and to, like, for example, there's a lot of substance to atomicals in ARC20s with, you can mine them and stuff like that. But recently, they've taken really a back seat, right? They're not talked about as much, at least in the mainstream Bitcoin ecosystem timeline and stuff like that. What's your thought process on atomicals, ARC20s right now, and where do you see them, let's say 6 months to 12 months down the road?
Great question. Dude, I'm still super bullish on atomicals. It's true proof of work, or colored coins, backed by Satoshi. Those colored back Satoshi coins. I'm sorry, not backed by Satoshi. You know what I mean? So they'll never go to, they truly never go to zero, right? It's literally Bitcoin. But man, atomicals is an ecosystem, right? It's not just like a BRC20 or an Ordinal per se. Like, there's so much more with atomicals, with AVM, with the realms, with the demint process that gives true power to those artists through decentralized mint, right? You can accept those different tokens as form of payment, knowing it's Bitcoin, to give them use cases, right, on top of many other things. So I think it was tough catching on mainstream because most people don't understand the CLI, or they want the easy way. And, it's not an easy protocol. We did a lot of tools to build, and those teams are continuing to build to make it easier, right? To mint in your browser, right? But now you've got, perpetual mining. You literally mine that token on your computer, and as the supply gets greater and the blocks, grow further along, it's tougher to, the difficulty is harder. So it's adjusted. So it costs more money to mine that token. So it's one of those where if you're able to get in there early and do that as well, it has that meaning, which I think the first one was Infinity, right? The first token on atomicals was Atom.
Well, real quick. So Infinity. So what you're talking about with perpetual mining, does that only work with ARC20s that have infinite supply?
You can even cap the supply. It doesn't have to be an infinite supply. So you can have a supply set at 21 million, and like every million minted, the difficulty adjustments gets harder and harder, and it may never hit 21 million total. So, it's all through that Bitwork proof of work, mechanisms that Arthur brought to life. And, we had the honor to work with him and bring that to life with the Atomicals market, right? And it's great to see other marketplaces and people, right? OKX now, you've got BitGet, other big exchanges talking about atomicals, and I think they understand that, right? You mentioned UTXO base. I mean, there's stamps and others, but atomicals is pretty big, and it's real big, in that eastern part of the world with Asia. So I'm excited to see it continue to grow. There's still so much that needs to be unearthed with it, and we're still very, very early, right? Runes and Casey, a lot of that is mimicked the same way as atomicals, right? Let's not beat around the bush. I mean, people can look at it and understand it, right? UTXO base makes it a lot easier to move coins versus BRC20s, and we'll see what other further advancements he does with that Runes protocol. But it's exciting to see, and I think more people, like you said, right? These different protocols will shine that have that true value and meaning on Bitcoin, and people will see that, right? Or they'll die out, right? But there's a bigger community with that, and once people read it and truly understand it and see what that type of ecosystem it is, when realms are truly live and the AVM, it may open more eyes, right? It may open more eyes with ease of use. So I think it's still very, very early, Shizzy. Or Yagobi, I'm sorry. Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
No,
My
you're good.
apologies,
You're
brother.
good. You're good.
Yeah.
No,
I say Shizzy because I know he was bearish on it. And he's always like, "What's going on with it, man?" And so I'm like, "Bro, they're building. Like, we just had, we're blessed to be super, super early in this protocol, right? And like the .coms, right? If you were in there early, and all of our parents had that opportunity, and a lot of them faded it. So I just think we're truly early in all of these meta protocols.
100%. And I think a lot of times, we're so used to like the timeline and time, like, I guess, perception, to be just like, short period of time that seems like forever since like 2020 and 2021. But if you think about it, like Chainlink didn't launch until 2017, right? And then
Drop
like
my phone.
wasn't Chainlink didn't launch. A lot of these infrastructure plays for Ethereum's DeFi didn't launch until they launched all the way back in 2017, 2018, 2019, but they weren't really utilized until like DeFi summer, and like they were building their integrations in. And I feel like that's kind of where a lot of these meta protocols are right now, right? Like they're gonna either, like, I'm not saying all of them will survive, some will die and some will never come back, right? But I think we got to give it time, like you said, and time will always tell, because time is the ultimate test. But that kind of brings me the question that me and Shizzy talk about all the time is, how do you see these meta protocols? Do you see the ones that survive? The ones that failed, they're going to go away. We know that. But the ones that survive, do you see them kind of like as like these layer 2 type extensions to where they have like their own environments, and then other supporting side chains and stuff support them? Or like, do you have a vision for like what that could look like?
Can you hear me, by the way? My Bluetooth died. So
Yeah, I can hear you.
it's yeah, there's obviously some that have died, right? There's other, like, I'll use ETH as an example. It took a while for that to build up and grow before people really started building on it, right? We just happen to be in the very beginning of these meta protocols on Bitcoin that are going to take time to come to fruition, and people fully understand the capabilities. Like, look at Domo and that team with Lorenzo and Bernard, right, working on BRC20s, right? They're calling it now phase 1. It's been out a year. So time will tell, brother. Like, there's a lot of chains that have come and gone through the years of crypto. If you've been here from, earlier than I have, and I got here in 16, right? And that's still early in my opinion. But you're absolutely right. The chain links, right? Is that still going to be something that's considered usable, or people run away from that, right? Ethereum's and the Solanas. So I consider these type of protocols, those are all built on top of Ethereum. They just had cool names, where we have shit like ARC20 and SRT20. Like, give us a cool name, right? All right, stamps, atomicals, but you know what I'm getting at. I consider these protocols those other chains on layer 1, and then you have the Merlins and the B squareds of the layer 2s that can bring those users from these other chains into layer 1, whether it's staking layer 2 airdrops on layer 1. In the end, I think it brings everything over to Bitcoin, and everything will come to Bitcoin at the end of the day. And we see it with Merlin and these other chains right now, right? We're going to bring Tron stable users and Polygon and these other chains, and integrated MetaMask and OKX wallets, right? So that right there opens the doors for liquidity into the ecosystem. But those that, like I said, right, if you came in during COVID at home, right, you got in on Solana or Ethereum, you didn't get in on Bitcoin because there wasn't shit to do. You just held Bitcoin in your wallet. And so, Cardano's, whatever. Most people aren't used to doing anything. Now they have that opportunity. So, some people like to stick around. Hey, it's been a year, and now ordinals are truly a thing, and shitcoins on Bitcoins are a thing. And let's get exposure to that, right? So I love seeing on the timeline, this is my first ordinal. This is this.
Yeah.
It means people are, they're coming into the ecosystem, but they've been in crypto for a long time, right? Like anyone, change is difficult, man. Like people don't like to change jobs, right? Or get a new car, or buy a new house, or go to a new restaurant, or change what you order on your menu. You order the same shit, right? You go to the dispensary, you get the same fucking strain, right? Like, you always wear white shoes, like shit like that. Like, it's tough for change for people. So I think the same thing goes with Bitcoin, especially when you're used to these other chains that are much faster, right, to do trading. And Bitcoin, it takes time for those blocks. Secure asset, it takes time. And there's a reason it's one of the most secure assets in the world. So, there's quite a big difference when you come from other chains. And like I said, man, I welcome them all. So it'll be fun to see as this year goes on. I think this year is the year of the protocols, as we continue to creep up towards a major bull run next year. I think we see a lot more protocols come out this year. It'll be curious to see what's after Rune.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you on that. And to your point, I saw Russell Okung, post that he got his first ordinal. He's that ex-NFL lineman, and he was big on the east side constantly, and so it's happening, that's for sure. And I think we just need to be patient and realize, again, just bask in the like opportunity of being early, and appreciate that, and let time kind of take its course with the winners and losers here.
I
But
mean, we're all blessed. Like we were here before an ETF and hedges and retail gets into where everyone's paycheck can be put into Bitcoin, right? Through a 401k, through an ETF that way, right? And it's funny you say Russell, because he's been in Bitcoin a long time.
yeah,
One
true.
was a maxi, and he's true. And he's one of the first people that wanted to be paid in Bitcoin and got his paychecks, paid in Bitcoin, right? So he's been there ups and down, and is here. And it's great to see that he's in Ordinals. Would love to get him on a show, right, or on a
Yeah,
space and come talk, because some of his perspectives are great in regards to it, especially from someone that already has money but can see the true value of what Bitcoin brings. Because let's face it, the guy was a millionaire from the NFL, and he would rather be paid in Bitcoin over US dollar. So would love to hear that story from him, in person too. So it's great to see, like, people, and we say it, right? You guys have worked with French Montana, and you hear people saying it. Great. Another one. Well, you can't consider, if new artists come into the space, just because you've had a bad apple, you can't consider them a bad apple, right? Like,
yeah,
he did his mint for free. Yeah, maybe he fucked up in the past. People do, and it was something with ETH that you see come up. But now everything he's doing is for free, right? He put his music on chain. You had Ghostface Killer come out. Now you're going to see more artists do that. And if people continue to be negative towards new people in the space, then how is it ever going to grow, right? Like,
100%.
Soldier Boy might have left a bad in people's mouth, right? It doesn't mean French Montana will,
Yeah,
So, judging the book by its cover isn't always that best option, in my opinion. And if we truly want the ecosystem and Bitcoin or whatever chain to grow, we can't you can't think of everyone as SBF. You gotta let that let that course run. Sure, you're going to have people come out now because it's a bull run, but at the same time, like, the ETF was just approved, and as I mentioned, man, rich people wanted that conviction from the powers that be that they follow in this country, unfortunately, and an ETF happened to be it, right? So okay, some of these rich artists go by that. Hey, I needed that validation. Now the ETF's approved, it's approved on Wall Street, I can add that to my portfolio. So we can't fault them from coming in the space. We just, like I said, people need to do their own research and pay attention, and they'll figure out who's meant to be here and who's not meant to be here.
yeah, for sure, 100%, man. And like you said, the ETF was kind of like that. It was like that green light for a lot of these huge fund managers. But then what happens is, once the institutional money comes in, like, mainstream starts to come in, and I think people need to expect like more mainstream names to start to be around and hang around and be around for a long time, versus previous cycles whenever it was kind of institutionals power hasn't came in. But that's typically what happens when institutions buy in and they are in, and legally it's good, green light. Then next thing you know, there's companies that are formed that are gonna be a part of the industry, that they might have funded and stuff like that. And so at that point, then you have like more mainstream people. And one thing I'll say about French Montana and his team is that they are, from everything we've heard, they're here to stick around. They're learning more and more about ordinals. And Russell Okung, he is the perfect type of celebrity that you want on your show. So hopefully, Russell, you're hearing this, because we'd love to have you on Ordinal Revolution, because he's in it himself. He's learned, he knows about Bitcoin. He knows the fundamentals. He played in the NFT world with Ethereum because there was nothing over here. But now he's finally said, okay, Ordinals, it seems really cool. And he got his first Ordinal. So yeah, really good points there.
It's funny you mentioned businesses, right? Like, we haven't really said anyone, or heard anyone besides like the BlackRocks, right, running the ETFs, besides Tesla, that says we have Bitcoin on our balance sheet, right? Like, when,
Yeah.
when do we see the Microsofts, the Apples, the Googles, all these other big, companies on Wall Street? I'll just say it, right? Say, hey, we've added 1 Bitcoin or 10,000 Bitcoin or 100 Bitcoin or 20 Bitcoin just to have exposure to Bitcoin. I think the other one was what? The Arizona State Senate actually came out and said they're looking to add, Bitcoins to
Pension or something, right?
a portfolio. So, we're going to start to see, I think we see more of that. And it's only just the beginning. We're just so early in everything. And it may be a cycle that never ends, man. Who the hell knows? Like I said, cycles and trends, charts, history, it's all meant to be broken.
Yeah.
Maybe now with on-chain activity, this is the cycle we're all blessed enough to be in at the beginning that we see get broken.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope so, because it sounds like that could be the case. History isn't always identical, but it tries to rhyme. But you're right. Like, I'm okay with rhyming, but having it broken and different in many ways is important, I think. But yeah, man, great conversation. Definitely a good one there. All right, so guys, remember to put your questions in the chat, because Eric and I will be trying to answer each and every one of those for y'all. Just put them in the chat and we'll get to them once we hit that after hour period here in about 10 minutes. But here's something that I'm going to bring a little bit of my experience, and I'd love for you to bring some of your experience into this question, because I think there's a lot of people out there in the ordinal space on Twitter, in these communities, and they're just like, man, I just want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be able to know how to kind of network better, because I feel like I'm not getting anywhere with networking. And I can actually relate to that, because last cycle I kind of felt a little bit like that, right? And I'll go ahead and kind of go into my experience. And the question here is how to become successful networking in ordinals and the Bitcoin ecosystem. And for my experience, it was really just taking that leap. Oh, I think we might have. There he is. Okay. For my experience, it was really just taking that leap of first it was a little bit unique. Me and Shizzy started a podcast, not about Bitcoin ordinals or ecosystem initially, but starting the podcast was actually, either way, that would have helped us in some sort of environment we went into. So we realized that, having a presence of bringing something of value to the community, immediately I felt like was impactful. Right. And then once we got into the ordinals space, it took time, definitely took time. So it was, what can you bring in terms of value to the Bitcoin ordinals community, and then also being consistent and persistent with that, right? So constantly knocking on those doors until they open, and then that's where I felt like it started to bring success for us at Ordinal Revolution. And the last thing I'll say is make your relationships count, right? Meaning that, like, be a good person, don't burn bridges, no matter, like, if the situation didn't work out, or if it did, don't leave a bad taste in people's mouth. Now, sometimes it's inevitable, just because we're humans, and humans bump heads and stuff like that. But that's kind of where I feel like the success for us came from. And if you, Eric, which has had a huge amount of success in this region, you're constantly being asked to be on stage and on different spaces. You've been project lead for many different platforms. You just got another lead role. Congratulations, by the way. And if you could kind of tell, like, that everyday person that's like, man, I want to break out. I want to, get into these, network. I want to network better. What advice would you give them?
Thanks, Shiv. Thanks, Yagobi. Dude, it's tough. You said it, right? You just, I've owned businesses in real life, right? Started from the garage, man, and worked our way up to be able to have a brick and mortar and a backlog, and then investors approach, right? So blessed to be in magazines for that particular, industry. So you got to be involved. It all takes being involved, right? And so, if you're trying to build in the ecosystem, then get involved in the ecosystem. So get on X, right? What are those social media platforms that you're interested in, are involved in, right? If it happens to be TikTok, then get involved with the TikTok people, right? Or YouTube's, or whatever it is, right? So in this case, X, right? So we're blessed to be able to have spaces on X where you can go in live and talk, right? So, don't, I would say, never going up and shilling doesn't help your situation, right? I would say be involved with the community, continue to build, go on spaces, but ask questions and engage, right? Get involved. Let people know that you're a human, that you're there, that you're there to stay, right? Continue to build your product. I mean, we did that for a while and then dropped Ordifine right in September, worked on atomicals and went from there. So it's just learning that ecosystem, right? Learning the people in it, learning those communities that you want to vibe with. And then for me, you know, I did some for the first time. I went to a conference, right? Knowing what we built in the space, and I did in real life networking, right? A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to stay anonymous or they're PFP and don't know me, and I get that too, right? You know, I've been blessed to have certain roles in this space, and you know, for me to grow that roles or grow those businesses, you know, I felt I need to be in person, right, and talk to a lot of these bigger bigger ones that are there. You know, to see really what's going on. What do you know? How can we network better? How can we grow this ecosystem? So, you know, you don't have to be a founder or a developer or anyone in the space to go to one of these events just to network, right? Anyone can go to like ETH Denver, NFT, New York City, or even Hong Kong, Asia, if you feel like going, you know, flying to Hong Kong, right? But just to go and see these conferences, see these things up front, and then do some networking, right? Run into someone that you met online and do those in-person networking. So it was the same way in previous businesses, right? Going to shows and conventions and meeting some of those people in real life that you want to work with, especially if you want to build in that particular space. So it's just being there, man. Being there and showing up and grinding every day and letting people knowing that you're there grinding every single day. You know, this guy puts in work, you know, or this woman puts in work, you know, and they're, you know, he or she is here to build and grow. And you know, they're here networking, they're showing up. So that to me speaks volumes.
Yeah, dude. So that's the one thing that like Shizzy and I haven't done yet. We're obviously going to be in NYC, and that's going to be a fun time. We can't wait to meet many of you guys that are going to be there to the events and parties. But yeah, so if you could kind of talk a little bit more about that, right? So before you went to ETH Denver, and then after you went to ETH Denver, was there a dramatic like exposure or like network effect for you?
A little bit, and I think with anybody, right? If you show face, people know you're there. You know, people can see that conviction like anybody, right? If you play poker online, you can't read that person, right? You're reading it's online, right? When you play poker in person with someone, you can read them, you can see that. So to truly see a passion in someone when you speak to them in person speaks volume. You know they're not just typing something on a keyboard to get attention. Um, so for me, yeah, I think it built and grew relationships. I met, you know, builders, artists, developers in this space that I didn't know were that particularly, or what they might have been building that they don't talk about, right? Or that you just didn't know that they were in general. So for me, I felt it was great, you know, with my particular role in this space to go and do that. Look forward to New York City. I obviously look forward to meeting you guys in person. There's quite a bit of people there, and it's great to network, right? So yeah, I think it does help in certain aspects. Like I said, man, a lot of people, you know, ask me questions or want to hear your story or things like that. You truly get to speak to those individuals in person versus like, let me do it on a space or, you know, kind of like this. Like I said, like you can't. It's a lot easier to read people and really understand where their heart's coming from when you talk to them in person. So yeah, that to me spoke volumes, and you know, I got to meet a lot of people I've dealt with over the last year, and some new people, right? And you know, it's an honor to say that, you know, I follow them now and speak with those people. So you know, it's always great to grow, man, in this industry.
Yeah, for sure. Couldn't agree more. So guys, if you are looking to, you know, try to make your presence larger on you know, X or just in the space in general, just, you know, keep knocking on the door, figure out if it's not working. I posted this on my Twitter before, just knock differently, you know, look for a doorbell, just get that door open. And if you're not a talker, you know, practice talking. I don't know how you can do that, but maybe you know, just put yourself out there, and then you know, you definitely will see it. If you're persistent and consistent, you will start to see your network grow. And we're excited to go, like I said, to go to NFT and NYC, like the events for that that event, the Ordinal events and everything for that. So can't wait to meet you guys. And yeah, so we're about to wrap this Ordinal hour up, and we're going to head into the after hours for some Q&A. So like I said, make sure you put the questions in the chat, and we'll go as long as you know, we need to in terms of the questions. Obviously, there's going to be a cutoff time with that. But yeah, it's been a great live for the Ordinal Hour. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you check out ordinalrevolution.com. There's a banner for 21% off of the Bitcoin 2024 Nashville tickets. If you click that link, it will take you directly to get that discount there. You can also click on our store link, and that will take you to our apparel store, to where you can see a lot of Ordinal gear there to get for these conventions. But yeah, we appreciate you guys, and we're going to go ahead and head over to the Ordinal Hour now. Appreciate that. All right, so we'll go for the first question here, and it's going to be Eric and Yagobi. What's your number one rune-related projects right now? I'll let you start. I'm not sure if you have one, but if you don't and you need to think about it, let me know, and I got one.
Oh, man, there's so many. I mean, obviously R6 was the first, right? And I've said it before, and people have asked, like, personally, they're all IOUs until we see runes officially hit, and you know, hopefully the airdrops happen for all of these projects, right? But right now, it looks like R6, obviously Runestones with Leo, right? That was big for the community. That's amazing what he did for the community and early Ordinal enjoyers, you know, for that with all those addresses. Man, there's a lot, man. Like, I know the guys behind Rune Guardians, right? I know they're cooking. Tiny Vikings, we know those guys, right? Rune Pups, obviously. I got puppets. We know Farmer Joe. We know what they're doing there, right? So there's a few out there, man. I mean, I don't know all the teams. I can't speak on them all. So top ones, I mean, you know, you got to go with where the volume is, in my opinion, right now, for those top collections. You know, for that, right? So I really don't.
What about Runestone? I haven't heard Runestone.
I mentioned Runestone. I said I don't know.
Oh,
if
you
I
did?
can,
Okay.
Yeah, Runestone was the second one I brought up besides R6. So Runestone, I mean, that's amazing what Leonidas was able to do for the entire community, Ordinals enjoyers, right? The early people in the space, and you know, 112,000 addresses, right? I mean, look at the volume of it. So whether he just keeps it as a runestone or people get airdrops, I know there's other communities doing airdrops to holders of runestones, right? I think TO did something. Here's a free min if you was delisted. I think we see a lot more of that coming. I hope these IOUs of coins people are mining on these runes get paid out, you know, and
Yeah.
like I said, that's what we'll find out. A lot of people are saying that, right? Like right now, it's imaginary number. It's all an IOU, and obviously we'll see what sticks and what doesn't. But there's quite a few collections we know the founders of, and you know, we'll find out post halving. But
Yeah.
those I think are getting that attention.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about the IOUs. What I think you and I both were in the Ordinal support desk this morning. Shout out OSD. But there was someone in there. I didn't recognize him, but he had some really great points. And he was saying that like a lot of these runes Ordinals are kind of, you know, I hate to use the word grift because I feel like it's so overly used, but what he was saying was that like it's an opportunity for projects to kind of put these ordinals out right now, and then price go up, and then, you know, people make money off of secondary, which is obvious. I mean, if you're in the space for that, but some of these will end up being, you know, solid runes tokens projects, hopefully. But I'm with you on that. Like, you know, they are IOU, so guys, remember that right now. It's fun with like these ordinals, you know, driving up, you know, bringing more liquidity, and sometimes it's helping other like regular ordinal projects floor price go up and stuff like that. But if I were to pick one, I would say the Runestone, just because it's everybody's so bullish on it. It has to launch. If it doesn't, Leonidas's reputation is done. You know what I mean? Like if it doesn't get airdropped to everybody, I would say, you know, Runestone is probably the one that I'm most bullish on outside of Rune Zero. And I think you and I and Shizzy, all three of us, are probably the most bullish on that. Or how do you feel about Rune Zero?
You know, obviously everyone's going to want the first official one from Casey, right? And you need a node to have that set up. So I think that's going to be a rush. think it was like Bitcoin Barry or Bitcoin Brian. My apologies if I said the name wrong. I know you're talking about on that space this morning, and he brought up some, like he even brought up what's the purpose of that R6 going to be once you mine the tokens post halving and you get your tokens? Like, is that thing going to go to zero? Like, what good is it for? Right? And I heard there's raffles and such, and mind you, I don't know everything behind the scenes of what's going on. I can't be tight, know everything about these communities, right? So I don't know everything, right? Like, if Runestones gives you the token, is it going to continue to give you airdrops? Like, that's what we don't know, and that's what we'll find out, right? With these other rune narrative plays right now. So for me, me personally, I think a lot of people are waiting for Casey's rune, right? 0 through 9. I mean, those are going to be the first 10, that he deploys. So I think all of them will play a narrative in it, in runes themselves, right? It'll be fun a few weeks from now on April 20th to find out, what happens with runes, right? And that's what everyone's kind of waiting on. I mean, I'm hearing there's a lot of liquidity ready to flow into, runes with layer 2s turn on layer 1s. I mean, hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's interesting, but rune pup, I wouldn't fade Farmer Joe. I wouldn't fade obviously the puppets, what they're cooking. That's obviously the BRC20 pups tokens getting migrated to a rune, and that he kind of laid out the details of what that's going to be and allocated for. For those holders. So we obviously know they're cooking on that regard. Plus, that rune looks pretty fucking cool. It's a puppet, right? Leo's is a spinning cool 3D stone, but hey, it's another puppet. But like I said, man, there's a lot of teams cooking up some things, and just curious to see, what happens, and if those IOUs are paid, those are early, rune community collections that we're able to come hit, and we're all able to be early on them, right? So and people, I love, I'm always partial to atomicals, right? Everybody knows I told Casey with some of his shit, like, well, what's this in the mempool? Oh, well, it's atomicals, right? Like, you didn't know. And but it's great, he's done so much for the ecosystem, right? So I mean, I'm bullish on, obviously, on atomicals. I know the true power of that protocol, but I'm not going to fade runes. I'm not going to fade this protocol just because I built on another protocol, right? So I'm bullish on the ecosystem in general, and if there's opportunities with rune, I'm going to take that opportunity like any other person in this space, and degen into runes and see what it's truly about, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's the perfect mindset to have, is to say, hey, look, I'm bullish on this meta protocol, but I'm not going to fade this one just because it's similar to the one I'm bullish on. So I think that's a good take there. You mentioned one thing about rune 0 through 9. You have to have a node to receive it, or how does that work?
When the halving hits, in order to inscribe these, or I guess in order to etch your runes, you need to do that through a node. So a lot of people are like saving up liquidity, thinking they're going to drop on like an Unisat or a Magic Eden. It needs to be done through Ord client, through the node, and that's how the early ones are going to get these early runes.
Okay, well, definitely glad that you said that, because we're going to be setting our node up ready for that.
So you know what? In this case, I hate to say it, like, the nerds win versus the retails and the other people, right? Like, if you have your node set up and your Ord client, you're going to be one of these first ones to be able to get in there and etch those rune tokens and mint those before anyone else. And I think that there's probably a reason Casey did that, right? Get an Ord client, get in our Ord Discord and Ord Accord and learn how to do this shit, and you'll have that opportunity to be very first in this.
No, I mean, that's awesome, because I was trying to figure out how he could do it, because I extra way, and I think this is really good. So John the Collector, appreciate your question there. I hope that answers that question for you. All right, next question up is from Crypto Hot New _Hot News, another member of ours. He says, what are we earning to swap our assets to M tokens on Merlin Seal? They are earning liquidity as a chain. We are earning what? Thanks. Okay, so I'll go ahead and tackle this one. So let's say that you have BTC staked on Merlin Seal. Now, once the M token is released, which it is, you can apply for that. And if you apply for it, they'll release the MBTC into your wallet. Even if you spend that, it doesn't matter. You're still going to earn the MERL token because you staked the regular BTC in the seal. So even if you spend that MBTC token or whatever, you'll still keep earning what you initially staked until the stake is released and the MERL token is dropped. Even if you sell the MBTC and someone else buys it, they will not gain your staking reward earnings. You are only have access to that until the staking is done. So I just want to be clear with that. And this is the understanding that, you know, Shizzy and I got directly from Jeff, and he put that out in the public too. So you are still earning your MERL token rewards until that stake is completely done. And so I hope that answers your question there. All right. So another Merlin question. How's the Merlin unseal going to work? How many endpoints to get your assets back? Is it going to be a set rate per asset or percentage? Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought just to touch on that first part. I thought I heard Jeff say they were gonna do the unstaking on their dime, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not. You know more on this at the moment. You go.
Yeah. So I do believe they said that there should be no fee, no gas on that, or no fee for our part. But let's get some clarity on that because like I want to make sure that we give a clear answer on that. So good point. I'll ask Jeff on that, and for our next episode, we can definitely give an update on that, or the Ordinal Revolution Twitter account. So look out for that. All right, so I Walk Alone, another member of ours. How's the Merlin unseal going to work? How many endpoints to get your asset back? Is it going to be a set rate per asset or a percentage? So if you are I'm going to use that same example. If you staked one full Bitcoin, right, then you're going to have to put one full M Bitcoin up to receive that out of the stake. Right. So it is going to be 100% of what you put up. Obviously, if you only put up 0.52 Bitcoin, then you would have to put that same rate on the M token side to receive your Bitcoin layer 1 asset out. So pretty straightforward with that. But I think what we'll do on our next episode, because, you know, 2 back-to-back questions here for kind of the Merlin seal, what we'll do is kind of an FAQs, I think, for the Merlin seal staking and unstaking. All right. So this one, I think, Eric, is something that you can kind of start off to answer. It says, what is your idea about betting projects on Bitcoin's blockchain? Betting projects on Bitcoin blockchain. Do you see any insight for this field on Bitcoin blockchain? Better to be on layer 2 or use protocols on Bitcoin like Rune? So basically they're asking like, you know, gambling type of projects on Bitcoin's blockchain. What's your view on this?
Oh, I think it'll happen. I mean, they've already got kind of some of those casinos out there, right? Sure, it could be done on layer 1, right? It's just, I mean, you could run it on like a layer 2 for quickness of transactions for like, say, payments, right? Behind the scenes for money to get in to these gambling, so that way your bets are placed on time. You know, things like that. Like a Rune or Atomicals protocol, even the stamps would be ideal because they're UTXO based, so you can send them right away versus like a transfer and scribe, right? So I definitely think we'll probably see something like that in the future. I mean, why wouldn't be, you know, right? Especially if there's protocols out there, you know, contracts with layer 1, knowing that Bitcoin is the most secure network in the world. Essentially, it's never been hacked. You know, why wouldn't you want to run something like that on this protocol? I don't know of anyone doing it, but I mean, gambling is such a major. I mean, we're all in this gambling casino right now, but you know, if you look at the numbers like DraftKings and you know, Dual Fans and all those other ones, I mean, gambling is massive in the world, so I can't see anyone not developing something to be put on chain, especially if it's functional and works like a DraftKings. I mean, and we know those guys were heavy on NFTs and such, and they do that with their drafts. So, maybe they're working on something. We'll see. But it'd be nice to have it all on chain, so everything's transparent, obviously, and things like that.
Yeah. So it was a great answer, Eric. And I think that, like Eric said, gambling is inevitable, especially when it comes to crypto. I mean, come on, like we call ourselves degens for a reason, right? And so it goes kind of like hand in hand. I do actually see, probably some sophisticated gambling protocols eventually being developed on Bitcoin's native layer. I think once technology, let's see how like these UTXO tokens work out in terms of the flexibility as well as just the what's capable on Bitcoin's native layer, right? We have to remember that ZK rollup going to be a deal to where it can help and assist and make things quicker, because that's where the holdup is for everything on Bitcoin's native layer is the speed, right? But on layer 2, I definitely think that that's probably where a lot of them will start. They'll probably birth from there, but eventually I think that we do get it to a sophisticated place on Bitcoin's native layer to where we'll see some nice gambling applications. All right, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. We got some guy with a weird bucket hat on. He says, "Can Eric dance? Can Eric dance?"
Eric's not going to dance right now, so if that's the question.
No, I think he's asking more like traditional, like can you foxtrot? Can you? I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude, no. I'd be willing to learn.
Yeah, well, we're gonna find out when we're in NYC, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna have some drinks maybe, and we'll be in some dancing environments possibly when we're up there. But yeah, so hopefully
We'll
that answer. Yeah, hopefully that answers your questions. Shizzy
maybe,
underscore OR.
Maybe under the influence. Yeah, maybe. But no, you're not going to see me doing TikToks like Casey, if that's what you're asking.
Yep. All right, Mr. Sheedy. Sorry, I missed your question. It was I'm looking for the question mark, so that's why I missed it. But it says, when purchasing bitmaps, how do you pay attention to its attributes, like it has been parceled, etc.? So that is a good question. That's a good question. And Eric, do you know? Is there like a online source that lets you know if your bitmap's been parceled out at all or anything?
Dude, I have no idea. Maybe bitmap.community.
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't, and I'll be transparent here. I mean, I free inscribe so many bitmaps. I've never bought them secondary, just sold them. So I don't know. I haven't been too deep in that ecosystem lately to see what's been built or not. Just been holding the ones that I have, right, until I see something, functional and such besides the tools that were already there. So I don't know if anything new's been put out or advanced to see if it's parceled out or not. So I honestly don't know an answer to that. So.
Yeah, and I would think that bitmap.community probably be one of the first resources to show that, because they had the Genesis parceling event to where they allowed you to mint those on Magic Eden. So, Mr. Sheedy, look at bitmap.community. I'm on here right now. I can't see anything right off the bat, but we'll dig a little bit further. And you're one of our really, really good early community members. So we'll try to get back to you, in DMs and stuff with an answer on that. All right. Okay. Crypto hot news. Another member, I think he had a question earlier. We got one more question after this, and then we're going to wrap it up, because I believe there's only one more question. It says, I have a question. If we trade our M tokens, we won't be able to withdraw our staked assets. So yeah, that's a true statement. And it says, but if we keep the tokens to swap back for our staked assets, what will be the reward for the staked assets? Again, just you got to remember, it's the MERL token is what you are earning for this, right? You're gonna get the Merle token, which is the governance token of the Merlin chain. It's the main reason why everybody's staked, because a lot of people are bullish on that chain. You heard Shizzy say earlier, you know, when he's kind of pulling a block right now. Those two are like in these like freaking Mandarin and Cantonese only speaking chats, and they sit there with Google Translate, and they're like, let me get back to you with this translate. But yeah, he's basically saying that, you know, the Chinese community is super, super bullish on Merlin chain, right? And so, you know, having access to the MERL token to me is like, it's like similarly to getting that Arbitrum airdrop, right? Both are governance tokens for very powerful chains. And except for, I actually think Merlin chain is going to be bigger because it's the first, like, Stacks is the first side chain of Bitcoin, but this one is like the first to where like there's so much like Bitcoin layer 1 asset support. And so I think that the opportunity is huge here. I don't know. What do you think on that, Eric?
Yeah, obviously people are staking for Merle. I heard, you know, once you can unstake, you know, Jeff's mentioned leaving things staked. So I'm sure with what he's cooked up already from airdrops of different tokens, that they'll probably be airdropping other things as well. So, you know, obviously do your own research on that. But you're right. I mean, Merle's the government's token. You know, Voya was a bonus, and some of these other ones. So it's more of, you know, that's the main reason why I put into the seal. You know, I didn't know about Voya. It was more of like, you know, I want to earn some of that Merle government's token because this is the only way I can do it right now. And you're absolutely right. A lot of VCs, investors, and people that I've spoken to in the space all say the same thing, that there's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars flowing into, you know, post halving when runes go live and you know, these layer 2s are really flowing with runes, right? So there's a lot of bullishness on layer 2s because it's bringing exposure to layer 1. So and there's a few good out there, right? It's not just Merlin, you know. Curious to see what you know, which ones stick, which ones hold, which ones grow, because they do different things, right? Like B squared is totally different than what Merlin's doing right now, and there's other ones. So they both incentivize their community users in different ways. So yeah, like I said, I'm bullish, man. I'm bullish on them, and to see what these guys are building, and people will use ones that are sticking, that are here, that are functional, right, and that have liquidity. So you know, that's that's kind of where I am at. I mean, I'm bullish. There's a lot of builders going there, you know, and then you have people that bashing it, right? It's built on Polygon, and this, where'd you come from, bro? At the same time, you're posting shit coins on Solana, like making no it doesn't make any sense there. Like, you're shitting on a Merlin because it's built on Polygon, but then you're trading on fucking Solana that doesn't even work. So it's like, come on, man. Like, you know, you came from different chains before that, because I've seen you shill Zen and Pulse and all this other shit. So it's like, bro, like, don't, if you faded it early, like, you don't have to get mad. You can still enter it. Like, that's what I mean by, I see this stuff and it just makes me laugh. And it's like, okay, you know, you know, if you're truly studying what's going on in the ecosystem, then you probably won't fade it. You know,
100%.
Rugs, like, everyone thinks Merlin's gonna rug. Well, just say bye-bye to crypto. Like, what? No one's gonna. I mean, that'll be the Black Swan event that just ends it all, right? Like, what the fuck? So it's like, no one wants that. You know, and I don't look at it that way. If everyone looks at it that way, then you're never going to invest to be able to make it. So you know, you can't, like I said, you can't consider everything to be the next SBF. You just can't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And it's funny, like the technological argument contradictions that happen every day. It's like, you know, after that, like, you hear that, you're like, okay, this doesn't stem from like their actual technological stance of it. It's more of somebody got hurt somewhere, you know, because like in this space, dude, like, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of emotional people, and it is what it is. You know, I try to, like, you know, avoid all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like, you know, we're all human, and so I kind of understand it from that perspective. But you know, it is what it is with that. But one thing I will say, that like B squared, I think they're going to play a major part of like this infrastructure with the sidechain and layer 2s. I think they're going to have more synergy than people think. They're going to be working with them more because they're providing more of like a roll up type of solution to where that these sidechains can actually benefit from. So
yeah, it'll be interesting, man. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what comes out of all this, right? And like you said, I mean, you can still stake. I'm salty on some stuff, right? Like I got a bunch of puppets cheap. I got them locked in fucking Merlin, so I'm missing airdrops, right? So it's like, all right, well, I'm missing certain airdrops to gain other certain airdrops, and I knew that going into staking it, right? So it's like, it's the game we play, man. I mean, and I've staked a lot of things. Like people knew I've been in LPs for Stacks and Alex and other things to learn that ecosystem and grow. And when you lock, you lock. You can't get it out, right? So sure, am I salty on some? Yeah, but like I said, I made that decision. I'll get it out in a matter of weeks, and the ones I want to get out, right? My puppets, I'll pull them. So that way I can get those future airdrops. The other stuff I may leave in there just to continue to earn rewards through Merlin. I've got Bitcoin and Ordi and Sats and a lot of other stuff staked in there that for me were very long holds. So I didn't mind staking it that long. And same for the puppets, right? But at the time it wasn't like, hey, puppets are going to do massive rune airdrops and other shit from now through the halving. Oh, fuck, I locked some of those up. Well, it is what it is on that regards, right? But like I said, I'm earning airdrops from Merlin instead.
Yeah, no, you're right. You have to kind of decide what's that give and take with that. All right, guys, we got one last question from Matthew B here. Hello, I have a question. Are satoshis with name palindrome worth very much? So my understanding is on average, not really. I don't know can you have like 2-letter name palindromes? Do you know anything about this?
No, sorry, I got another recycle guy here. 1 second.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so from my understanding is the name palindromes, they're maybe if you can have like a 2-3 letter palindrome, or if there's if there's an actual word in the spelling spelled out, that's whenever I think they can be like worth anything. But I'm not a pro at this, but go ahead.
I was just saying, man, people will pay what they want to pay for it, right? Collectors collect a lot of shit, as we see, and a lot of different things, right? It's card collecting, Pokemon's, comics, you fucking name it, right? I mean, people collect, all sorts of stuff. So will they have a play? Absolutely. Right now, I think they're a couple bucks. But again, I think it depends on what it is. Like you always said, if it's a name versus a number or both, if it's a name numbered one, it may have more value to an artist that wants to put some art on it versus someone just trying to collect, maybe name palindromes, right? Because it's not like they're rare. There's a lot of them, but to me, they're one of my favorites because they are unique in a sense. I like those, the way those go, right? So again, it's just preference. At the end of the day, right? And what someone's willing to pay for that particular, like what someone's willing to pay for a Bitcoin puppet or anything else out there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good answer there. So Matthew B, I hope that answers your question. I see the name. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna be more of like I don't think Magistat indexes these, but I do know satting.io does. Maybe Magistat does now. I'll have to check. I haven't seen in a while, but really appreciate the questions, guys. Really appreciate you, Eric. I know you're a super busy guy, and appreciate having you on, filling in for Shizzy today. And we'll definitely have you on again. It's been a great show. And guys, make sure you check out the website. ordinalrevolution.com. I already talked about the 21% off for the Nashville tickets. You can get them directly from the site, and you can check out the store as well. And until next time, we will catch you guys on the flip side.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yep.
Ordinal Revolution. Let's go.